Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you. I want to welcome you once again to the Lenny Robbins YouTube channel, the YouTube show. Know your politics. Let's come together to create a better understanding for each other by watching and listening to what our politicians do. I'll continue to say it is important for us to put ourselves in a position where we can now know what they do and what they don't do, so we can advocate on behalf of ourselves for the changes we need in our community. I have to go back to, I want to go right back to the campaign and what is happening on the campaign trail, because presently the election campaign is getting hotter. The rhetoric is turning out loud and clear. It's getting louder, it's getting harsher, it's getting more meaner. And it's also not getting meaner, it's also getting more demeaning. In other words, the cursing out is getting worse. And as I predicted and I boldly said it before, and I'm going to say it again, I know a couple of people try to bash me on it, but it doesn't matter to me. Because if somebody on both sides of the political divide does not make an effort to tone down the rhetoric, before the election is over, lives will be lost. That is Jamaica. Lives will be lost. And for those who lived through the 70s, those of us who lived through the 70s, we can clearly remember how it starts. It didn't start erupt as a big explosion. Started very small, just like this, until it morphed into something else. There's also a very glaring thing that is absent from this campaign, and both sides of both political parties are guilty of it. It is something that is absent in government throughout our 60 years of independence, of self-government. It has been something that has been absent from government throughout our 60 plus years of self-government. And this is what I want to talk about this morning, ladies and gentlemen, because like I said, my intention is to just bring common sense understanding to the people of Jamaica. Try my best to do that, because we don't need to get into politics to understand which politician does this, which politician does that, who is a liar, who is a thief, why this one is a liar, why this one is a thief, and where this one gets him money from, where this one is doing, that one is that. We don't need to get into politics to understand that. And this is why this morning I want to bring some common sense understanding and common sense knowledge to the one thing that politics lacks, the very main important thing that is lacking over the 60 years from our both political parties. Transparency. I want to do a two-part video on this because I want to point out now the benefits of transparency, of government transparency in government or government transparency. Just want to have a quick take look at the benefits of government transparency. And in my part 2, I want to tell people what we can do. Part 2 will explain what we can do as citizens to help bolster or foster transparency in government, or increase transparency in government. Now, I must begin by taking an historical overview of government transparency in Jamaica, because I'm talking about my country, Jamaica. There's no question that ever since the foundation of both of our household name political parties, which is PNP and the JLP, citizens are ever clamoring for transparency in government, with the understanding that we the people requires government to be open, frank, and forthcoming about its activity. As I said before, a closer look at what is said on today's campaign trail is a clear indication of citizens' lack of trust in both political parties, and most importantly, political parties' half-hearted attempt to be transparent. The half-hearted attempt they are making on the campaign trail to be transparent. Suffice it to say that transparency in no uncertain manner builds trust, confidence, support, and a clear vision in the hearts and minds of the people that the government intend to serve. Now, having said that, I'll also say that it's up to government. It's up to the government, because when I say transparency, we're not expecting government to spew out every information that they have out there to the public. But it is up to government to find the balance between what information to share and what to withhold, pending potential security risks that may come with sharing some information. Now that is very simple, because government, and I'll expand on that a little later in the video, because that is important. The challenge for government to become transparent is not an easy one. However, not easy is not imprisoned by impossibilities. Government transparency, or transparency in government, builds trust with the citizens. That creates many advantages for the government. For example, listen to this. Many citizens who are turning their backs on politics are very concerned about mismanagement and negligence in government's performance. Mismanagement and negligence in government's performance. This resulted as a lack of transparency. We have no way of knowing why you do what you don't do. By creating and giving citizens, now here's what government can do. And these are the benefits of, as I said, I'm speaking on the benefit of transparency now. By creating and giving citizens the opportunity to have an openness look, or a peek at government's function, reassure citizens of government's effort to be transparent. By giving that opportunity to citizens to have a peek at some of government activities, it reassures citizens of government attempt to be transparent with them. Once you are transparent with government, with the citizen, it morphed into trust. It morphed into an understanding. It morphed into an interaction between government and citizens. Honesty. Truth. Now, I must also say that of equal importance, transparency also helps to build a better internal accountability among public service employees to live up or fulfill their job description. In other words, to put their best foot forward, because when they fail as public service employees or public service servants, we can have a look. Once that government gives us the opportunity to have a peek into some of their activities, we can have a look to determine, oh yes, these people are failing. They are not putting their best foot forward. So this now prevents government from covering up anything or pulling the wool over our eyes as citizens. They have to be honest with us. They have to be honest with us. When citizens are given the opportunity to have a peek into government's operation, public service workers are forced to become accountable. As I said, they are forced to become accountable, because we are watching them too, not just government as their boss. We who are the real boss are watching them. Transparency, I must also admit, serves to increase civil society involvement in government decision. And I say that, ensuring that citizens have a voice and can advocate on their behalf to bring about the changes they need in their community. This is very interesting to me. I've said it over and over, citizens need to have a voice in the quality of governance they receive from their government. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is very important, because it gives a society it serves to increase civil society involvement in government decision. Hear how it does. Now, government has the opportunity to reach citizens in real time. Notice government are not utilizing the digital communication platform that we have in Jamaica. We have Flow, Digicel, and I don't know who else we have out there. Just about every household in Jamaica, as poor as they are, have a cell phone. And government can reach out to everyone across the political divide with requesting participation or feedback answers from citizens. How is media lasting in your area? How is the crime in your area? We're not asking you to call no name. How is crime in your area? How is the water situation in your area? How is the electricity in your area? How is flooding in your area? This is an opportunity government can use to reach people right across the political divide, the length and breadth of Jamaica. Clear indication that you want people's feedback. What suggestion you have in terms of flooding, pre-their larceny, lack of water, lack of electricity, and job opportunities in the area? What can we do to make it better? When people have that opportunity to talk back to you, Mr. Government, it shows people that you are willing to be transparent, or you're becoming a transparent government. And it creates an interaction between government and civil society. We're not asking you to tell us about the loan transaction and loan negotiation you had with the International Development Bank for some project. We're not asking you to tell us about that. A citizen wouldn't expect you to put all of that, because some people can't read 50, 60, 80, 100 page document. They don't need that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this loud and clear. We also have to make a push, whoever becomes the next government. We need to make a push for transparency. The technology is out there for government to reach people in a very, very easy way. I did a previous video on how technology is helping our politics in Jamaica, but I wasn't in depth on it. But it is very beneficial and very useful that none of the parties have heard of any plans to do it or to use it. I want to go on by saying that a broader discussion of government transparency that cannot be overlooked is how the government is using the digital platform, as I just explained to you, which I won't get into too much. Everyone in Jamaica possesses a cell phone. And that's a wonderful opportunity for Jamaica, for the government to demonstrate to its citizens that they are serious about becoming, serious about transparency. Very, very serious about it. Can you just imagine? Let us stop and think. Can you imagine the government in Jamaica set up a system to reach its citizens right across the length and breadth of Jamaica in real time? And the technology is out there for the government to do that, you know. And say, okay, the question is out there. It's gonna be on your phone for 72 hours, then it will disappear. I will delete it. We need your feedback within 72 hours. So you get that feedback from people about the simple things they want to know in the community. Because people is telling about road condition, water, light, jobs, pre-their larceny, crime. People are telling you about these things. Transportation. And if you want to have a touch government, and this is PMP and JLP, because I don't have a dog in the fight. Reach out to people, use that digital platform we talked about, I've spoken about. It is there, it is wide, it is there, open for the government to utilize. When government is transparent about how they do things, it helps people to learn more about government process, which is lacking in our politics today. And this is one of the things why people are turning away from politics, because they see no transparency. They see nothing in the government that is helping them to recognize certain things. Government is helping them to understand certain things, why they do certain things and why they don't do certain things. You know, when government does that, by helping people to learn more about government process, this helps the citizens to understand why the government do and do not do certain things, which generates a better understanding and a deeper interaction between government and the citizens. Now look how important transparency is. Let us stop and think about this as we go along in this video. Just look how important transparency is. It's a win-win situation for government, for the government of the day, and for the people of the country. And I guarantee this, Mr. JLP and Mr. PMP, any one of you anyone that's the party that formed the next government, if you institute this digital communication across the country to reach out to people exactly the way I'm saying it today, I guarantee you're going to be in power for the next 40, 50 years. Because when you have people participating in decisions that affects their community, affects their daily lives, and you're acting on it, watch how people support it. It doesn't matter. The PMP and the JLP difference is people believe the PMP can do it better than the JLP, and people believe the JLP can do it better than the JLP. But none of you people have demonstrated. None of you have demonstrated the propensity or the wherewithal or the expertise to do it better than the other. Evidently, it is evident that we lack the understanding and interaction with our government because of the absence of transparency. That is very clear. That is very, very clear. Because of the lack of the absence of transparency in our government activities. Obviously, over the last 60 years, I'm closing out now, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm running out of time. Over the last 6 years of self-government, there was never a time, any real attempt by any of our political leaders, our political parties, our government. There's never a time by any one of them to make any real attempt to be transparent with the nation. Never a time when any real attempt was made. Present day government recognize that for them to be, let me not say they do. I hope that present day government recognize that for them to be transition to a more open and people accessibility transparent government, the effort may be a complex one, it may be time consuming, and may require a multifaceted approach. In the meantime, it is up to us as citizens. I'm going to close by saying this. Because even though it is time consuming, it's a complex issue and multifaceted, like I said earlier, it is not imprisoned by impossibilities. It is also up to us to continue to watch what they do, listen to what they say, and thus giving ourselves the opportunity to advocate on our behalf for the changes we need in our community. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important, I say again, watch what they do. It is important. Transparency in government is important, and this is why this is what is lacking in a big way in our governments and our political parties of the day. And the people are turning their back on politics. It's because they cannot trust politics. They cannot trust government. They don't trust politicians, neither PMP nor JLP. People are turning their backs on it because there's no transparency. And I guarantee you, Mr. Holness or Mr. Golden, if one of you people ever introduce a simple little thing, I hear my Isat Buchanan up in Portland a struggle to tell people how he can bring water and get water in the community because he knows it's going to be difficult. You understand? But here's a simple little thing. Let us use what we have, whatever means and platform we can use to reach to people. You're not reaching out to the Labour Party alone and any government that become any party that becomes the government. Remember, you're there to serve all Jamaica, not just Labour Party or PNP. All Jamaica. All Jamaica. And it is time for government now to be more open to the people of the country. It is time. The people are clamoring for it. The people are clamoring for transparency. They need to have an understanding, a clear vision of what government is doing and what government is not doing. About the very basic thing that affects their life. You understand? And as I said about politics, it's just basically, for me, politics is the equitable distribution of jobs, opportunity, wealth, and justice. I'm sure these strings covers, opportunity alone covers just about everything we can talk about in our lives today. So, Mr. Government, I'm handing over now to the PNP and the JLP. And like I said, part 2 will be coming up next. How can government become transparent? What can we as citizens do to help them become transparent? That is part 2 of this transparency video. Because it's important going forward in the next government. After this election is over, transparency, people, is going to be a must. Because if you listen to the rhetoric of this campaign, whichever party forms the next government, if they continue to perform the same way they have been performing over the years, more and more people is going to get turned off from the politics. People are going to turn to unconventional ways of earning their living. Unconventional mean the criminal way, let me put it that way there. Ladies and gentlemen, Lenny Robbins, I hope I'm making sense, common sense to a lot of people here. Because that's my perspective, bring a common sense understanding to what is happening around us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Lenny Robbins YouTube show. Let's know your politics. Let's come together to create a better understanding. And I'd like to say to anyone out there who sees this video, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, share it, leave your comment. And if you haven't yet subscribed, just hit the subscribe button because we need to grow this thing. We need to grow it, as I promised myself that after a year and a half, I'm going to start push it. So I'm going to ask you ladies, everyone out there, Jamaicans all over, whomever you are, give it a support, give it a like, give it a share it as you go along. Lenny Robbins YouTube channel. Over and out. See you guys later. Jamaica Blessed Love on Wednesday, the 30th of July. I mean, look how fast the year is going. And we have no time to waste. We have no time to linger. Terry Linen.